In the current debate between Darwinism and intelligent design, the strongest argument made by Darwinists is this. In every other field of science, naturalism has been spectacularly successful. Why should evolutionary biology be so different? But it has long been obvious to the layman that evolution is different and requires a fundamentally different type of explanation. In recent years, a significant number of scientists have begun to recognize this also, as the astonishing dimensions of the complexity of life are revealed by scientific research, especially at the microscopic level. Here is a short story that may help viewers understand why evolution is different. The following discussion of the second law of thermodynamics is taken from Basic Physics by Kenneth Ford, but similar comments can be found in many other college physics textbooks. Imagine a motion picture of any scene of ordinary life run backward. You might watch a pair of mangled automobiles undergoing instantaneous repair as they back apart. Or something as simple as a cup of coffee on a table gradually becoming warmer as it draws heat from its cooler surroundings. All of these backward in time views, and a myriad more that you can quickly think of, are ludicrous and impossible for one reason only. They violate the second law of thermodynamics. In the actual scene of events, entropy is increasing. In the time-reversed view, entropy is decreasing. Imagine a high school science teacher renting a video showing a tornado sweeping through a town, turning houses and cars into rubble. When she attempts to show it to her students, she accidentally runs the video backward. As Ford predicts, the students laugh and say, "The video's going backward." The teacher doesn't want to admit her mistake, so she says, "No, the video is not really going backward. It only looks like it is, because it appears that the second law is being violated." And of course entropy is decreasing in this video, but tornadoes derive their energy from the sun, and the increase in entropy on the sun is far greater than the decrease seen on this video, so there is no conflict with the second law. In fact, the teacher continues, meteorologists can explain everything that is happening in this video, and she proceeds to give a long, detailed, hastily invented scientific theory on how tornadoes, under just the right conditions, really can construct houses and cars. At the end of the explanation, one student says, "I don't want to argue with scientists, but wouldn't it be a lot easier to explain if you ran the video the other way?" Now imagine a professor describing the final project for students in his evolutionary biology class. Here are two pictures, he says. One is a picture of what the Earth must have looked like soon after it formed. The other is a picture of Chicago today, with tall buildings full of intelligent humans, computers, TV sets and telephones, with libraries full of science texts and novels, and jet airplanes flying overhead. Your assignment is to explain how we got from picture 1 to picture 2, and why this did not violate the second law of thermodynamics. You should explain that 3 or 4 billion years ago, a collection of atoms formed by pure chance that was able to duplicate itself, and these complex collections of atoms were able to pass their complex structures on to their descendants generation after generation, even correcting errors. Explain how, over a very long time, the accumulation of genetic accidents resulted in more and more complicated collections of atoms, and how eventually something called intelligence allowed some of these collections of atoms to design buildings and computers and TV sets, and write encyclopedias and science texts. But be sure to point out that while none of this would have been possible in an isolated system, the Earth is an open system, and entropy can decrease in an open system as long as the decreases are compensated by increases outside the system. As Isaac Asimov wrote in the Smithsonian Journal, remove the sun and the human brain would not have developed. And in the millions of years that it took for the human brain to develop, the increase in entropy that took place in the sun was far greater, far greater than the decrease that is represented by the evolution required to develop the human brain. The sun should play a central role in your essay. When one student turns in his essay some days later, he has written, "A few years after picture 1 was taken, the sun exploded into a supernova. All humans and other animals died, their bodies decayed, and their cells decomposed into simple organic and inorganic compounds. Most of the buildings collapsed immediately into rubble. Those that didn't crumbled eventually. Most of the computers and TV sets inside were smashed into scrap metal. Even those that weren't gradually turned into piles of rust. Most of the books in the libraries burned up. The rest rotted over time. And you can see the final result many years later in picture 2. The professor says, 'You have switched the pictures.' 'I know,' says the student, 'but it was so much easier to explain that way.' Evolution is a natural process running backward. It has created things that natural forces only destroy. This is what makes it so different from other phenomena in our universe, and why it demands a very different sort of explanation. Perhaps we were unfair in not allowing our biology professor to discuss natural selection, which is the key to his theory as to how the 4 fundamental, unintelligent forces of physics alone could have rearranged the fundamental particles of physics into computers and books and jet airplanes. His theory is considered plausible by many people. But we were equally unfair to our high school science teacher in not providing the details of her theory on how tornadoes might be able to construct houses and cars out of rubble. It might have sounded plausible also.